Now it's time to talk about non-directional versus directional tests. And we're also going to talk about non-directional and directional hypotheses. First, we're going to talk about tests. Up to this point in the class, everything that I've shown you pretty much has been non-directional or two-tailed tests. All right, so these are tests, hypothesis tests, tests of significance. We learned that these things have many different names, inferential tests. These are tests, if they're non-directional, these are tests where you specify two rejection zones, one for the left tail and one for the right tail. And that way, no matter where your test statistic falls, whether it's negative and it falls in the left tail or positive and it falls in the right tail, it doesn't matter. You're going to be in a rejection zone. And so you'll be able to say, reject HO, my results are significant. All right, so if, let's say, mu1, remember you're testing sample means, right? But we always phrase our hypotheses in terms of the parameters because that's really what we're interested in. So if you, let's say, phrased your hypothesis in such a way that you're just saying mu1 is going to be different from mu2. So you're not saying which direction the means are going to take. You're not saying group 1 is going to be higher than group 2 or vice versa. Then what you're saying is I better have two rejection zones. I don't know where my TS is going to fall. So if it turns out that your test statistic falls into the negative tail where mu1 is less than mu2, you're fine. You can still reject HO. Same thing here. If you fall in the positive tail where mu1 is greater than mu2, as long as you're in a rejection zone, you can reject HO. So let's look at a picture here because this will make sense. So you're doing a hypothetical study, an experiment where you're manipulating room color, that's your independent variable, and you're looking at mood scores. So you have decided to take my advice and have a really strong manipulation. You're going to have one room that is a neon blue and another room that is like a neon yellow. Now, at this point, students get really confused because they don't know or they don't understand why having mu blue less than mu yellow puts you in this tail, whereas having the mean for blue be bigger than the mean for yellow puts you in that tail. And you know what? It really depends on what you want to call group 1 and group 2. If you call group 1 the blue group and group 2 the yellow group, then after you measure their mood, if blue, group 1, happens to score less than yellow as far as mood, then you're going to get a negative TS value. Okay, so again, your TS value will be negative if blue is less than yellow in terms of their mood scores, and you labeled blue group 1. All right, so it'll just become negative based on who you decided to label as group 1 and group 2. Here, if you labeled group 1 blue, because we do group 1 minus group 2, right? That's just a convention. We do group 1 minus group 2. So here, if blue was your first group and the mood scores were higher, then you're going to get a positive test statistic and you'll be in this rejection zone. But I really don't want you to get too hung up with this because what if you had labeled yellow as group 1? All right, so whether your TS is negative or positive is less important than figuring out or knowing, am I in a rejection zone? I don't care which side I'm in as long as I'm in a rejection zone. That is the only thing that matters for these two-tailed or non-directional tests, okay? What is important about understanding, I don't know why I circled around HO here, I guess something to do, but what is really important for understanding two-tailed tests is that you have two rejection zones. They're going to be the same size, and as long as you are in one of them, you can reject HO. If you're in between, then you're going to have to retain HO. That's the only thing that matters, okay? And when would we use this two-tailed test? Well, we use it if we really don't know what is going to happen in our study. We could make a prediction and say, oh, I think blue is going to be higher than yellow, or yellow is higher than blue. But if you really don't know, there's no literature to suggest to you which room should give you the higher mood scores. If that's the case, then you use a two-tailed test where you have two rejection zones.